Hi everyone and welcome to this video. With this series of videos, I want us to explore shadow and light attributes in ourselves because the shadow is as much of a part of nature as the light is. We can't really separate the two. Shadow was once, usually in our childhood, a part of us that we denied or pushed down or pushed away in order to get love and safety from our caregivers or immediate environment. What we can do now is to recognize our shadow aspects and meet them with love, kindness, and compassion. That by itself creates miracles. I'm not kidding. That way, we can integrate our being and show up in life with our full capacity and in alignment with nature, really. Because if we deny a part of nature, we can't be really fully connected to it, can we? On the other hand, let's not forget our light attributes because I believe that even though we need to have an awareness of our shadow, it is beneficial for us even more to acknowledge our light attributes and connect to their energy regularly. We want to fully embody the energy of that attribute so that it can support us in our lives. And how do we do that? By choosing actions that will get us closer to that attribute. Say I want to step into integrity. And how does being in integrity feels like to me? It feels like being strong, brave, calm, and peaceful. By bringing all those in my life, consciously choosing them, I support myself to step in and be a part of energy of integrity more. How can GeneKeys help? For me, they help create awareness, which I believe, at least that is true for me, is the most important thing of all. And second, they cultivate kindness and compassion towards myself. And lastly, we all have all the qualities in us, but there are certain ones that are more prominent and important for us to experience in this life. For example, everyone is tidy to some degree. Would you agree with that? But some of us might be very tidy, or some of us might not be really tidy. So, do you know what I mean? And that applies to everything. Linking this with the GeneKeys. I invite you to check where this particular GeneKeys that I will discuss today lies in your chart. Either check your GeneKey or Humandesign chart, or you can simply just connect with yourself and see how this particular GeneKey manifests in certain areas of your life. Okay, let's tap into GeneKey number 31. What I feel called to do is to share insights and questions that popped up for me, and hopefully those will inspire you to dig deeper. And even better, let's start a conversation here down below in the comment section if you feel called to. Let us together expand our consciousness and awareness of the world that we live in. The shadow attribute of this GeneKey is arrogance. Gift is leadership, and Siddhi, which is the enlightened state of mind, or rather being, is humility. Let's start with the shadow aspect. Shadow shows as control and manipulation of others through language. Us humans are pre-programmed through conditioning to follow those who can best manipulate language, facts, and words. However, do we truly know what someone's true intention is? And is their true intention based on their personal gain, or is it part of a collective interest? And did you know that the truth has a different frequency than a lie? Also, ask yourself, do you ever use language to manipulate the truth, to convince someone into something? And that can be yourself. Do you possess awareness when other people are trying to control you with their words? And that is not about judgment. This is about recognizing and having awareness so that we can make better decisions. With this gene key, what really matters is true understanding. Think of a time when you felt completely understood by someone. How did you feel? We want to cultivate that feeling because I bet it was a pleasant one. So, the power of language, let's look at that. Would you agree that language by itself is a very limited as well as culturally conditioned tool? And just think about it. Words that are offensive in your language might not be in a different language. Also, can words describe what tasting a chocolate in your mouth really feels like? No, they can't, but they can still introduce the idea. Intellect is a very wonderful tool, but it is just that, a tool. When we identify our reality with the language, we become conditioned by it. And Gene Key 31 talks about how language is actually part of nature. So nature gave birth to language or opportunity for the language or many languages for that matter to exist. And yet the arrogance comes when we think that by our intellect we surpass nature or overpower nature. So that's the shadow of arrogance. What I'm saying is words shouldn't define us. Let's be mindful of manipulation or control through words in our own mind and in our environment. If words are just socially constructed conventions, how real are they really? Language can be manipulative, as we know. So I invite you to look into the animal world. No animal pretends to be anything else that they are. They can't convince us that they are something that they're not, because surely they have no language to do that. And isn't that freeing by itself? So that is probably why communicating or interacting with animals is so natural for us, because there are no barriers to reach them. Lastly, how does this shadow manifest? The first one is repressive nature. In society stands that humility is good and arrogance is bad. That can actually manifest as a shadow representing itself as false humility in order to get control over others. Because in the end of the day, humility is cherished and highly valued in society. When someone lives in a repressive shadow frequency, their actions are based on fear. More than anything, they fear to be labeled as arrogant. So they choose humility to cover that shadow. Then we also have a reactive nature because, something we have duality. Reactive nature is based on anger. Those with that shadow frequency assume that they are beyond others, which puts them in a position of power. However, they have a deep seated need for recognition, which is never really satisfied. Because how can it be if no one can match them? Getting recognition from people one thing less of can never satisfy one's ego desires. Longing for personal recognition or control of wealth is the 31 gene key shadow frequency. All right, then we have gift. A person who sits in the gift frequency has a gift rather than desire of being a leader. That quality by itself can actually put those people for leaders. What came to my mind is the movie Gladiator. Remember how Mark Aurelius wanted to make Maximus a leader because the last thing Maximus really wanted was power. And that made him a natural leader. The natural leader doesn't really care what people think of them as they would in their shadow state. They want to bring out their message because their message is important. Their intention is to help others break out of the very same conditioning they were in. This type of a leadership still holds the agenda, but It's very different to shadow. The shadow is about personal gain versus the gift is about collective gain. Gift also connects heart with the intellect, as it is our heart that connects to everyone's suffering, not our mind. Therefore, it can serve and touch other people's hearts and make a difference. For example, this gift can manifest like a work of art or a book that moves people, shift their consciousness, open up their true potential. This gift frequency believes that life isn't about individual success, but collective success. And tap into yourself now. What is the drive for you to put out the message to people? How does your heart want to make a change in the world? And what, if anything, is stopping you? How does your heart want to make a change in the world? And what, if anything, is stopping you from doing that? In case you care what other people think, what does that give you? And again, no judgment. Let's just be open, curious, compassionate, and kind, okay? Lastly, we have Siddhi, humility. In terms of energy, arrogance represents active, male archetypal energy, and humility represents receptive, female archetypal energy. And those aren't descriptions of men and women. That is just description of energy for the sake of better understanding. Mind that we are dealing with limitation of our words. Human intellect can't transcend language. The way I understand these frequencies, humility doesn't identify with anything in particular, but nature itself. Hence, it doesn't need to be recognized. It doesn't matter how it's perceived because it is whole. It acts with life in accordance with life's laws. It doesn't need to achieve anything independently from life because it's a part of life, part of nature. If you're truly humble, you know it in yourself, as you know the color of your eyes. If someone says your eyes are brown, but in fact they're blue, I mean, who cares? You know what is true, right? This frequency goes beyond you as an illusion. Furthermore, a person who manifests this frequency doesn't divide people into awake and those who are asleep, because nothing is separated from nature. And isn't that powerful? Ask yourself, where, if anywhere, you feel you are separated from nature? And where do you most feel part of nature? When I was reading this passage in the book, which I so recommend you to read, I got teary eyes for a moment, which always tells me that my heart feels the truth on a deep level. Humility has no agenda. It doesn't even want to free people from their illusion, but might do so unintentionally. The difference between gift and Siddhi is that gift is still caught up in evolution versus Siddhi is in a state of unattachment. I invite you to pause and see which words still hold power over you, which things that other people say affect you. How can you accept that part of yourself? By accepting, it will no longer have power over you. And I want to finish this by reading the last passage from the book because it's just so beautiful. I'm talking about the Siddhi frequency. Once this leap in consciousness has been made, there is no possibility of return because your identity or ego will be erased. With your identity go all language and all words, concepts, facts, and names. Ultimately, this is the great step in which your name is dissolved. Once you have allowed the Siddhic frequency to command your voice, you have entered the first stage of divine embodiment. From this moment onward, whenever you use the word I, it is the voice of divinity itself speaking. Such speech is pure transmission. It uses words to indicate the path beyond words. That is the beauty of its paradox. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it. I would love to hear from you. I would love to know your view. I would love to learn from you. Thank you also for all the likes and subscribes. I am truly grateful for you. See you next time. Bye bye.